I don't want to embarrass anybody tonight on this subject. So I'm telling you from the beginning, don't be embarrassed from the simplicity of the class and from the fact that you all know all this stuff already. You don't have the feel, like I came all the way here Wednesday night to sit and hear something that we all know already. He's going to tell us that you have to pray Sha'arit. We know that already. Okay. So at least worst comes to worst, you had some good food, you made a couple of berachot, you pray Arabit. That's the worst thing that can happen. And in the meantime, we'll say some stuff. But forgive me if I'm going on a lower level, and I'm telling you from now. And let this be known on the tape from now and from every other tape that we ever made. Whenever we give a class, we're not giving a class, we're not telling other people what to do over here. Because if anybody needs the Musa, and if anybody needs the telling what to do, is to speak himself. So I'm including myself in all these classes. I don't want anybody to come to me and say, hey, you gave a class on that, but you don't do. I know that. We're giving classes where we're trying to make ourselves, including myself. Don't think I don't gain from these things. If I had time, I'd probably listen to the tape also. I'd probably fall asleep on it, but I would try to listen to it. I'm giving myself the Musa. Rabbi Yisrael Salanta used to say, it's worth it to me to give a class in front of 1,000 people, even if one guy gets the Musar from my lesson. And then he concludes and says, and even if that one guy is me, and he's the speaker. So it's really a similar thing over here. Last week we talked about the first pasuk in Shema Yisrael. We talked about Ve'ahavtat Hashem Elokecha b'chol me'odecha. I think Steve asked words for us this week. Am I correct there, Steve?
Oh, we got those.
I don't know what about it. Come up, John, today. Okay.
We're always a week behind, so that's okay.
Okay. This week we're going to talk about the next perek of Kiryat Shema. Ve'haya im Shamawa. It's in this week's Parashat Ekev. The pasuk says, Ul ovdo bechol levavchem. You have to serve God with your heart. Now comes all the rabbis and ask a bomb question. What do you mean serve God with your heart? I know how to serve God with my hands. Take a lulav on Sukkot and shake it. I know how to serve God with my legs. Run to knis, run to shul. I know how to serve God with my nose even. Smell the besamim on Saturday night, Friday night. You could serve God with every part of your body. But the Torah is telling you got to serve God with your heart. You say it every day in Kiryat Shema. What does that mean? I want to serve God with my heart. What do I do? Comes the Gemara, and Gemara says, zu tefillah. It's talking about praying. Praying is the service of the heart. That's in this week's Parashat. It's a big concept, tefillah. Now, tefillah is such a big concept that the Gemara Berachot says on a pasuk kerum zulot bnei adam. The Gemara says elu devarim she'omdim berumo shel olam ubnei adam mezalzelim bahem. These are the things that stand on the highest places. These things are the most important. Kerum berumo shel olam. There are certain things in our religion that are on a plateau by themselves. And they are untouchable. These are like the fundamental foundation of our religion. Ubnei adam mizalzelim bahem. But the people are what? Mizalzil. They treat it with zilzul. They treat it with disrespect. Rashi says, what is the example of something that's on a high regard that we treat with disrespect? And she says, kegon tefillah, like tefillah. Many people pray through routine, through habit, without kavanah, fast, without thinking, or thinking about other things. And one of the reasons is because we do it so often that we get into a bad trend. But you have to know that just because we might treat tefillah with disrespect, it has no indication on the importance of tefillah. Go to shul and see guys praying the Amidah at record speed. I always wanted to know in Shadei Sion, how could it be when they start the Amidah, 3 seconds later a guy can scream out Atachon and Tanu? How do you do it? How could you get from Hashem? The fastest car that they make in Germany can go from 0 to 60 miles. How fast? What else will tell you? That car, 3.8 seconds. There you got the answer. But this guy, that's faster than the fastest car in Germany. He can get from Hashem Sivatay Tiftach to Atah Honatanu, the second flat. And from Atah Honatanu to Barech Aleinu, screams out, Barech Aleinu. 1 second. And then from there to Ya'alev Yavo, it's amazing. So you say, wow, tefillah must not be so important because guys are just zipping through it. Walking to our shuls, there's a lot of talking going on. There's a lot of things besides the actual tefillah. Tefillah is like a side point sometimes in what goes on in our shuls. To some people, the Hazan's interrupting them. This Hazan's too loud here. So the way we look at tefillah, where we come from, tefillah is more of a social thing. I'll tell you one thing. I just came to. I was once doing a report in school, and I took out one of these books that were written about our community. And I'm a simple guy, Magen David, 8th grade. I'm still somewhat tamim, somewhat pure in thinking that everyone's good and people are good and everything's nice about the world. So I open up the book, and the guy did a survey. I don't care if the survey is true or not, but just the fact that it was written. He says, survey, why do people go to shul? What's the question? I'm thinking the guy said, that's a survey. Why do people go to shul? What kind of guy? Guy must be Amadis. So he writes, 85% to socialize. And I said, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. How can you even say that? Blasphemy. You're saying about Jewish people that go to school. 15%, not even, 30% pray, and 2% are miscellaneous. They made a wrong turn, like, use the bathroom. I don't want to know what the other reason is. Some guy that wrote a book, he says he did a poll. That's shocking to me. 85% go to socialize. So, just because our way of tefillah might not be on the highest level, that is no indication on the importance that tefillah has. Tefillah has a great importance in our religion. It's one of the pillars that the world stands on, like the Mishnah says, ala Torah ala avodah. Avodah is service of the tefillah. So it's one of the pillars that the world stands on. So we want to devote tonight a little to go back to basics, to go back to second grade a little, to talk about this concept of tefillah. And don't think, but the Gemara Berachot writes, certain things in our religion need constant chizuk, need constant reminding, constant awakening, and constant musar. One of the things that the Gemara enumerates that needs constant chizuk is tefillah. So the Gemara understood this problem. And the Gemara therefore said, don't think it's belittling by talking about the Aleph Bet. Sometimes you have to go back to the Aleph Bet to strengthen it because it becomes so watered down. Okay. We're going to say 3 points, and that's the whole class. Point number 1. The source of tefillah comes from the pasuk, you have to serve God with your heart. So the Gemara says that's praying, but I still ask you a question. How do you serve with your heart? Do you ever feel that your heart is working? Do you ever feel that your heart is making a service, is doing something? Your hands you can feel, your legs you can feel. My heart is working. Why my heart is working? Serve God with your heart. Tell me to pray, but what's got to do with my heart? So I was teaching a kid this week, your brother. I was teaching him, I'm telling him this Hiddush. So I tell him, he says, I don't understand, when does your heart work? I tell him a couple of words. I tell him, you like the Knicks? He says, I got it. I got the answer, finished. Then wait a minute, what do you got? Take the Knicks basketball team, right? 1 second left on the clock, they're down by 1, they have the ball right on their side, they're going to inbound the ball and they have 1 shot left. If you're a Knicks fan, that's a playoff. Is your heart working at that time? Without a doubt, you have to contain your heart. Your heart's jumping out of your shirt. You can't imagine what it is. Some guys can't even watch it. It's too much for them. They have to turn their head away, and after a second, they turn back on. They hit it, didn't hit it. So for sure, that's a situation where your heart is working. You walk out of that game, wow, it's like a relief. It's unbelievable. Your heart, forget about it. So there are certain times in life where you could definitely say your heart is working. Now look at the difference. I'm giving you an example with the Knicks. When we heard this from Rav Chaim Brim, one of the greatest tzaddikim of the generation, he didn't give us example with the Knicks because he doesn't know what it is. He gave us a real example. His example was when your heart's working. He says, picture a guy that the king sentences him to death. Hayav mitah. They're bringing the guy out in front of the city square, in front of all the people. They're climbing him up the gallows. They put the noose around his head. They're ready to pull the chair away. All of a sudden the king says, let him go. Let him go. I'm free. You're a free man. Wow. This guy at that moment, when he hears that he's a free man after having the noose around, his heart is working. He feels it. He's there. He knows exactly what it means. He knows exactly that feeling.
Tears a feeling too?
Tears is a manifestation that comes from the heart, and tefillah has to be done with the heart. Which means when you come out of a tefillah, you have to have that feeling like you just watched the 1 second left in the game over there, and like you just had the noose around your head and it was saved. You have to feel so figure, wow, it's work. You don't come out of tefillah sleeping. If a guy comes out of tefillah sleeping, so that means you didn't do what tefillah is all about. Tefillah is an exercise where you're coming out like on another level. You're very awake, you're very into it, you're very psyched, you're unbelievable, it's fantastic, wow. What a great experience. Now, you're going to say, who do we see that happens to? That happens to nobody we know. Who comes out of shul like that? Okay. So I'm talking maybe on a high level. I don't think it's a high level only because that's the aleph, that's the basic. The source of tefillah is ulovdo b'chol levavchem. That's where you learn it from. A tefillah without the liv is not a tefillah, by the way. So if you don't get that feeling of, at least on a small level, so then the tefillah already is really, you're doing something else, but you're not doing tefillah. Listen to this. This is one of the greatest Hiddushim that I read ever. I'm going to tell it to you tonight. The first time I heard it, so I'm going to tell it to you. Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol used to pray in the Kodesh Kodashim on Yom Kippur one day a year. That was a big event. When he used to leave the Kodesh Kodashim, he used to make it out alive, he used to pray four different things for Bnei Yisrael. And you can imagine, what is the Kohen Gadol going to say at that holy moment on Kippur, just walked out of the Kodesh Kodashim, he's glowing from Kedusha. What is he going to ask for? So you know what the rabbi said, one of the things he asks for? Gemara Yoma says, he's praised, Ribono shel Olam, God, please do not answer the tefillah of the wayfarers, the business travelers that are going to pray that it shouldn't rain. Don't answer their prayers. Businessman's traveling in the olden days. He has his horse, he has his bug, he has merchandise. If it rains, he's finished. His horse can't travel, his merchandise is out in the open, it gets all ruined, no buyers can come, no customers, no nothing. So the worst thing for a traveler, business travel in those days was rain. So what did they used to do when they used to go out on the business? But please don't let it rain, give me good weather for my trip. Kohen Gadol, on Kippur, outside the Kodesh Kodashim, nothing better to do, but what? Don't answer those business travelers' prayers that they pray for no rain. Comes the rabbi from Kelm, the Sabbath from Kelm, and asks a question. He says, I don't understand. You have 4 million people praying for rain. The whole world every day. You're worried about the 1,000 business travelers, whatever it is. You're worried about the few guys that are traveling on business that are going to pray to God for no rain. What happened to the 4 million that are praying? Second of all, rain is a vital thing. Without rain, the world doesn't exist. You can't drink, you can't eat, there's no fruit, there's no vegetation, there's no nothing. So God's going to answer them so fast? No rain? Why? Therefore let the whole world die because some business travelers praying for no... It doesn't make sense. And that the Kohen Gadol's got to negate it? I think this is a great question. So watch what he says. Listen to the point. Unbelievable. After this Hadush, you have to dance. It's a great I'm telling you, I'm very psyched on this one. He says like this, the rabbi from Kelm, the Sabbath from Kelm. He says, those 4 million people that are praying for rain, let me ask you, you pray for rain in the winter? How do you pray for rain? Are you praying with any feeling? Are you praying with any, as you live into it? Are you praying for rain like you're praying for somebody that's sick in your family? Okay, no cares about rain? Yeah, I'm praying for rain because I understand intellectually that the world needs rain. But do I really care at this point? No, we have last year's food. We have food in the stores now. There's no drought, no nothing. So you're praying for rain, but it's really a lot of intellectual from the brain. It's not coming from the heart. Better than that, if a guy has his mother sick, he's going to pray, he's going to shake with his hands, with the whole story. When it comes to rain, that's it. If you even said that with, that thought in mind, of knowing what you're saying. 4 million guys like that. Those guys, the business travelers that are praying for no rain. How are they praying for no rain? Oh, you better believe it. They're praying with their heart. Don't bring rain. Like you'll kill me. I won't make any money. This shit. Is there a bigger tefillah with heart than the tefillah the business traveler doesn't want rain? So take 4 million guys praying for rain without the heart, and take 1,000 business travelers that are praying with the heart. It's no question, their tefillah has to be answered. How do you negate it? So you need a Kohen Gadol on Kippur outside the Kodesh Kodashim to negate it. Shema Yisrael. Is that a powerful idea? That's massive. Where's the guy that likes when I say it's massive? Steve Shumo, it's massive. It is massive. It's unbelievable. Kohen Gadol. That's a tefillah from the heart. Gorgeous, no? Let me give you another one now. You like? I'll give you another one. Hadush Tamid. You go again? Okay. There's a law if somebody kills bishogeg, if somebody kills by mistake. What's the case? The guy was chopping down a tree in the field. He had his axe. He went to the hardware store, he bought an axe. Nothing. He's chopping down a tree. As he gives a shot, timber, he hits in the thing. The top piece of the axe, the metal, goes flying 50 yards. The guy's Aziz sitting on his lounge, reading the New York Times. All of a sudden, the thing comes flying, an axe. He starts screaming, "You killed me!" So the guy, what's up about today? He gets scared. He goes, he looks, he sees the guy Matt on the lounge. He's "I'm a dead man. I killed Bishogeg. I didn't mean it. I was on by mistake." So he's got to run to Arim Miklat, he's got to run to the city of refuge, and he's got to run over there, and he's got to live there, and he's got to move his family there. And if it's rabbi, he's got to move his rabbi there. The whole Gemara Makot discusses the law of a murderer that kills Bishogeg. It's a big halakha.
The rabbi has to go there?
Yeah, the rabbi goes with him because it says he has to live in the city. So the rabbi says, "How could you live without your rabbi?" So that's you have to live in the city. Bring your rabbi with him. And if he's a rabbi, he's got to go with his yeshiva because the rabbi can't live without his yeshiva. It's amazing. In any event, how long does he have to stay there? Stays there until the Kohen Gadol dies. Once the Kohen Gadol dies, all the people that are murderers that killed and living in this Arei Miklat go free. Okay. That's the law from the Torah. Comes the Mishnah and Gemara Makot and says the following. The mothers of the Kohanim Gedolim used to go send food to those inmates in Arei Miklat. They used to give them a nice pie. They used to send them for Erev Shabbat, some kibbeh, some namajin with a note. This is the mother of the Kohen Gadol. Enjoy. They would send them a new suit once in a while, a hat, a pair of gloves in the winter. They were like bribing them. I said, why were the mothers of the Kohanim Gedolim bribing these inmates? So they won't pray that the Kohen Gadol should die. That's what the Mishnah says. Right? What's the thing that's on his mind? Kill the Kohen Gadol. I want to go home. So the rabbi from Kem says, unbelievable. He says, who are you talking about? You're talking about a murderer. You're talking about a guy who killed. Let it be Mishogeg, but he's still a murderer. He killed somebody. You're worried about his tefillah? And what is he praying for? That the biggest rabbi of the generation should die. Hashem's going to answer such a tefillah? That the Gadol Ador, Kohen Gadol, to the extent that the mothers have to bribe them, we shouldn't even be worried. You pray all you want. You're a gangster. You're a bum. Your tefillah is not going to be answered. You do whatever you want. Ela what? The rabbi says, because that tefillah, you have 1 million people praying, oh Hashem, give long life to the Kohen Gadol, long life to the... They sang it, lip service. But when these guys are praying for the Kohen Gadol to die, it's coming from the lev, it's coming from the heart. A tefillah from the heart, from a gangster, has a power to be answered. Bribe the inmates. Fantastic. Hadush number 2. The same concept you see by the thief, the ganav. You have a thief that's going to steal. What does the thief do before he goes into the house? He turns to God and says, Borei Olam, please, I hope I don't get caught. And Borei Olam answers the tefillah of the thief. You're right, he's wrong, he's making havon, he's going to go to Gehinnom for that, but the ganav is praying, the thief is praying, I don't want to get caught. He's praying with full sincerity. He really doesn't want to get caught. God listens to the tefillah, the ganav. It's a way of life. It's just a fact. If you pray it sincerely, if you pray it with full feeling, full enthusiasm, and you really mean it, it's got to be answered. It's like a guy sticking his hand in the fire. Is it a hidush that his hand gets burnt? Of course not. You stick in the fire, it gets burnt. That's the way tefillah works. You pray with kavanah, you pray with the heart, and you really mean it, you're guaranteed to see results. Korah, one of the biggest villains in history. The guy that went against Moshe Rabbeinu, and he lobbied 250 rabbis with him, and they made a mutiny against the greatest prophet that ever lived, Moshe Rabbeinu. And they claimed, you took all the power for yourself, we want it, who do you think you are? They made litzanut, we gave a class on the litzanut of Korah. The worst guy, till today Korah is underneath the ground, burning every single day, screaming, Moshe emet v'torato emet v'anachnu badda'im. Moshe is right, we were wrong, we're a bunch of liars. Korah, on the day that they were going to have that dispute to see who's right, who's God going to listen to? Is Moshe's Korban going to be accepted or Korah's Korban? So Moshe turned to God and says, please, Borei Olam, don't answer their prayer. Don't answer their prayer. God's going to answer Korah. If God answers Korah, take your whole religion, throw it in the garbage. Take the whole Torah and burn it. We're going to answer Korah. God's going to accept Korah's Korban. How's Moshe now? What's Moshe now? Moshe, you're out. Korah's the new leader. That's what's going to happen? That Moshe has to go, please don't answer? Yeah, please don't. Because we know Korah's going to pray over here. Korah's going to pray with full gusto. Korah's going to pray, Hashem, please, I want to be answered. I want this to be proven once. He's going to pray with his full heart. There's no more powerful weapon in this world than a guy that goes to shul and prays with all his heart. That is the most powerful instrument that we have to get things. There's no more influential person than the person that has the power of tefillah. Influential person. There's guys that fly to Canada. Yeah, we're sitting with people, fly to Canada to go see big rabbi. What are you flying for? These are the same people that will tell you, Ashkenazim, with the peot, with the this, with the... But when it comes to this rabbi, Canada, they forget all their theories about peot, and all their theories about vuzvuz, and jaydah, they forget all that. I'm going to the rabbi in Canada. Why? Because they know he is a very influential man. What is his influence? He's a short little rabbi. What kind of influence? What is he in the world? Who knows him besides a couple of Jews? Who knows him? In Beit Din Shel Ma'ala in heaven, they all know. Because he's got the power of tefillah. His tefillot penetrate the me'itzot, penetrate the different walls that separate us from Borei Olam. So we got to go to the professionals. Now, it does not mean that we do not have the same power that this rabbi has. It's just this rabbi worked on it for so many years that he has mastered it. But never to think that there's a monopoly on that trade. He happens to have it because of long work, but every single person could reach that level, or at least fall a couple of levels short from that level. But it's not like we're zero, and all these rabbis that have special powers of tefillah, they're not doing anything different. They're just following all the mitzvot and using the weapon called tefillah bechol levavchem. There's a king called Hizkiah HaMelech. Hizkiah Melech is visited. You want to ask a question?
I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I happen to have the zechut to watch the Touch Rabbi pray. And I was embarrassed in the beginning to watch him pray because of every bone and every being of his body was in kavanah. That was something that was embarrassing to watch.
See that? So there's no question about that. That's his trick. The trick of tefillah. You're telling me that he's shaking and he's into it.
The floor, in that little midrash, linoleum floor, where he was standing, was down to the cement. Everything else was normal.
Wow, it's unbelievable. The same thing when Chamazati used to pray. He used to walk away from his stender after he used to pray. He used to see a puddle of tears. Right, so these are giants that mastered this concept of tefillah. There's a king called Hizkiah Melech. One day he's visited by the prophet Yeshaya. This story we told you many times. The prophet Yeshaya tells him, Ki met ata velo techye. You're going to die, you're not going to live. Shmai said, that's the message you come and tell the king, Hizkiah Melech Yehuda. So the Gemara asks right away, what do you mean you're going to die, you're not going to live? Why the double language? So the Gemara says, Met ata ba'olam hazeh velo techye le'olam haba. You're out, Hizkiah, you're going to die tomorrow and you're no more olam haba. Hizkiah says, Maiku dehai. What happened? Why? Because you did not have children. You didn't have children because you didn't get married. So the Hizkiah's got a good answer. I'll tell you why I didn't get married. I didn't get married because I saw in Nivu'ah that my children are going to be the Sha'im. So I said, why should I bring the Sha'im into the world? So the prophet gives him Musar. What's it your business with it? What's Hashem's plans are? You're commanded to have children. You're supposed to have children. Don't start outsmarting God. Oh no, I thought you're commanded to do something, you do it. You put your head down. Don't start making hashbonot. Okay. So, Hizkiah says, okay, I'm going to make teshuvah. Yeshaya, you have a daughter? Give me your daughter, I'll marry her, I'll bring children into the world. So Yeshaya says, too late. The Gezerah is finished. It's sealed already. You're out. So when Hizkiah hears that, I'm out, he turns to Yeshaya. This is what he tells him. Ben Amot. He calls him by his father name. Son of Amot. You finished saying what you had to say? Finish saying it and get out of here. I learned from my father, who learned from his father, all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu. Afilu heref hadam unahat al savaro shel adam al yityesh adam min arachamim. Even if a guy has a sword, a double-edged sword on his neck, never give up hope. Don't tell me it's over, finished, you can't. You could change it. I don't buy what you're saying. Go. I'm going to handle it now. So the pasuk says, "Vayasev Hizkiah, vayasev panav elakir." He turned to the wall and he prayed. Comes the rabbis and say, he turned to the wall and prayed. What's the difference? Well, that's a technicality. He went into the den. He went into the room. What do I care where he went? Just tell me pray. So it says, "My kir." What does it mean? He went to the wall. That he went and prayed from the walls of his heart. Hizkiah knows that he's going to die. In Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. And the only thing separating him from that thing to take place is the Amidah that he's going to pray right now. You could imagine what type of Amidah Hizkiah Melech prayed. The Gemara, he prayed it from the recesses, from the walls of his heart. That was the biggest tefillah, the most invigorating, the most inspiring Amidah Hizkiah ever prayed in his life. Immediately the Hashem comes and answers him. You got it? You're going to live? Hashem gave him 15 years extra to his life because of that tefillah. He ended up getting married and he ended up having children. And his children became Nishayim. Okay. But that's Hashem's business. But you see the power, right? You see the power that one tefillah had. One tower of tefillah can take a guy from Gehinam, bring him back to Olam Haba, and bring him back to Olam Hazeh. Why? Because it came from the heart. I'll tell you a story. We were fortunate to study in one of the greatest yeshivas in the entire world. Lakewood Yeshiva. Lakewood Yeshiva is the mother of yeshivot. When I mean the mother, it started in Lakewood, and then everything else is a branch from the mother yeshiva. The kollels that we have in Deal, New Jersey today are children and grandchildren of that great institution, which is only 25 minutes away from me. This is advice, in parentheses, this part. Whoever wants to get a strong feeling for our Torah and our religion and what we're doing over here, take one Sunday morning, drive 25 minutes to Lakewood Yeshiva, and walk into the Beit Midrash, and you hear 1,000 people, 1,000 rabbis learning strong. It's like you're walking into a Gan Eden in this world. You cannot imagine. Just don't even open up a sefer. Just stand there for 5 minutes, hear the roar of Torah. That'll be the biggest uplifting for your neshama that you can ever have. Now imagine learning in a place like that for a couple of hours each day. It was tremendous. Now you have to know in yeshiva, they take the times very seriously. You know, if you start learning in the afternoon at 3:30, means everybody's got to be there at 3:30, and you learn till 7:20, and you don't get up a minute before that. You know, already that's bitul Torah. There's no wasted. If you have to go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom. But if Mashiach comes, you don't get up until 7:20. That's the standard of the yeshiva. No matter what can happen, you follow the system. Anything else is called bitul Torah. I'll never forget the day. It was like January 15th or 16th, something around there. And it was 7:05. The big clock in the Beit Midrash. And we're all learning. All of a sudden, in the middle of the learning, one of the rabbis gets up at the teba, takes his hand, bangs on the teba with all his might, and starts screaming, Shila Malot! We thought the world was coming to an end. I'm telling you, the feeling, 7:05, they're stopping 1,000 people from learning Torah. And some guy's getting up there and screaming, Shila Ma'alot, we're going to say Tehillim now? What can be happening that they're going to break 1,000 people learning at 7:05 to say Tehillim? And the guy's screaming on top of his lungs, and instantaneously 1,000 guys get up and hear a roar, responding to him, Shila Ma'alot. And for the first two Pesukim, I couldn't even say it. You're so overwhelmed what's taking place. So the building is shaking. The place is rocking. And now the word gets by. What's happened? But they're scudding Eretz Yisrael. They're sending scuds to Jerusalem now. We're in trouble. For the next hour and a half, you never heard a tefillah like that. I have no doubt that those tefillot in Lakewood Yeshiva Beit Midrash, that was the Patriot Mizdal. That was definitely had a key role in the fact that nobody died in Eretz Yisrael, or there was no casualties, or a few casualties from what could have been a very big, a massive situation, a very, very scary situation. I'm telling you, that was tefillah on the highest level. An hour on top of your lungs from the heart, 1,000 together. I don't think you ever match that again. You never match such a thing. The timing and the way it worked and everything. That's from Kirot Libo. But I want to let you tell you something about Lakewood Yeshiva. As loud as it was then, every day after Tefillah, they have a list of sick people. Nobody knows who those sick people are. It's a name on the list. Moshe ben Sarah, Abraham ben Mazal. It's his names. We don't know who they are, how old they are, what they're sick from. But every day after yeshiva, after tefillah, Hazan gets up, bangs on the teva, Shila Ma'alot, Esayna Eladim, Anya Boizin. Everybody responds. I will admit, it was not as loud as it was that night. But if a guy would walk in from outside, you'd say, oh, this guy is praying for his father. He's praying for his brother, somebody he knows. That's the effect that tefillah is really supposed to have. That they're praying from their heart, and that's why if somebody's sick, you want to get him on Lakewood Yeshiva's paper. because you have 1,000 guys that understand what we're saying in this class over here. That's got to be from the heart. You know, that's the trick of tefillah. So therefore, they get the job done. That's the real way to say tefillah. I remember in Sharei Torah, I go to Lakewood Yeshiva, go back. When our rabbis used to say the Tehillim, we guys were sketching around here. Tehillim's a burden to us. To say an extra Perek at Tehillim after a minute. How we want to go play punch for? What we used to do. So it's a burden to say an extra 4 minutes of Tehillim. But we used to look at our rabbis, and they're squinting their eyes, and they're holding onto their stenders, and they're squeezing it, and they're shaking. To us, you laugh at that time. What are you doing? You're getting all crazy about it. Okay, relax. It's not the worst thing to do. But again, that's a big musa. 10 years later, you understand what they did during that time of the Tehillim. Right. Now, take that situation, which we'll call an exception situation, now do that every day in the Amidah. Right. That already is not. If anything, this class gets you to understand what you're supposed to be doing. It might even get you to feel less negative towards the guy that you see in shul that's going like this with his eyes closed, shaking his fists. Till now, you're thinking to yourself, what's the guy doing over here? Was he boxing? He's fighting with somebody? What is he shaking like a lulav for? It's not so cold. What is he making a whole big thing over here? Pray Amidah for it. Rabbi Akiva says used to start his Amidah in one room and ended in another room. Not on purpose. Through the shaking and the going and everything. Right, son, he's 40 and then he's 30. Where am I? Oh, Amidah. So, tefillah is supposed to be. When you go to a Yankee game and you see all the guys in the bleachers going crazy and shaking and screaming and yelling, nobody says nothing. Normal, beauty. The wave. No one says one word about those Mishnunim. Comes a guy in the Amidah, Azid, he wants to get a little kavanah, so he might shake his head a little. 3 inches to the right, 3 to the left. I might have a little movement back of, kill him. The worst guy in the world is trying to have kavanah. There's one big rabbi, Rabbi Ades, from Yehuda Ades. One of the big rabbis of the generation. Comes to one of the shuls, he's shaking during the Amidah. A kid goes up to him. We don't shake, Rabbi. If Yehuda's shocked, the Rosh Hashiva, we don't shake. Well, the really rabbis that tell him, it's not whether we shake. If you don't feel it, then you miss the. If you're already, it's not that you have planned to shake or not shake. It's just a normal reaction. Now, I'm not telling you supposed to shake or not.
But in the Zohar, somebody was saying, is there any truth to that in the Zohar it said that you're not allowed to shake?
There's two opinions. Two opinions. Kafa Haim brings down 2 opinions. Some say yes, shake, because the pasuk says, "Kal atzmotai tomar nashemichem." All my bones will praise you. So you're shaking because you're getting all your bones out. Some say no, you're standing in front of God. Standing in front of God, you're standing like a soldier. Both are opinions. Both are legitimate opinions. I prayed with Moshe Feinstein. Moshe Feinstein prayed like a soldier. I prayed with other rabbis. It's an air conditioned fan. You get ventilation. So both of them are legitimate. I'm not discussing halakha here. I'm just discussing the attitude. You see a guy who's really getting it. That's what you're supposed to be like. That means he understands tefillah on the level that we're talking about. Not that it's just reading the words from the Siddur. The first one to the end gets a prize. Okay. That's the first part. Okay. Step 1. Step 2. So tefillah from the heart. The more heart you have in your tefillah, the more tefillah it is. Okay. Step number 2 of tefillah. Somebody will ask you a question. I want to get close to God. I want to feel it. How do you get that feeling of close to God, being close to God? I want God to feel close to me. How do you get that feeling? What do you got to do? So some guy will tell you, you have to go to the mikveh for a month straight, 5 times a day. Okay. But if I tell you, if you go to the mikveh 5 times a day for a month, and you'll feel close to God, that's a small price to pay for a very big consequence. You go to the mikveh 5 times a day. I'm going to tell you a much easier method than going to the mikveh 5 times a day. And the method is praying 3 times a day. Much easier. I'm going to get undressed every time. Put your clothes on. Pasuk says, Karov Hashem lechol kore'av. God is close to all the people that call to Him. Again, we said in Ashrim, right? Karov Hashem, who's God close to? Lechol kore'av, to all the people that call to Him. One condition, but lechol asher yikra'uhu. There's the key word in the sentence. Be'emet. As long as you're calling to Him sincerely, as long as you're not sketchy, as long as you mean it, every time you make a tefillah, you go this way, up to Hashem, Hashem comes down one level. Now there is going to come a time when you follow this method enough times, tefillah up, Hashem down, tefillah up, where you're going to meet. And once you meet, it is you'll know when you meet. The only time you won't know when you meet is if you're dead. Because you're alive, you'll know when you have that feeling where you're close to Hashem and you're connected. The only way, one of the easiest ways to get that feeling is praying sincerely. The biggest zechut. Again, I'm telling you, Rav Chaim Brim. Rav Chaim Brim once asked us a question. God willing, one day we're going to make a class trip to go visit this great tzaddik. Rav Chaim Brim once asked us a question. They come to you and they tell you, you have 1 minute to live. What do? Go. 1 minute left. Go. So again, we're talking now, you're talking from high school kids. This is an Eretz Yisrael. He asked us this question in Me'ah She'arim, that whole scenario behind us. What do you do for 1 minute? So one guy, he goes, I'm going to go kiss my mother and kiss my father. Okay, very sentimental, very nice. Okay, it's a good thing to do the last minute. Another guy was a little more into the physical. I'm going to go to Coastal Light, have that last hamburger. Okay, that makes you happy. That's the last minute. Another guy wants to impress Rav Chaim Brim. Oh, I'm going to learn Torah. Okay. What does Rav Chaim Brim say? Give me 1 minute. 1 minute, I'm going to pray to God. I'm going to praise God. After you give me 1 second, I'm going to pray. He said, and I didn't make up this answer. This is David HaMelech made up the answer. It says, Ahalela Hashem B'chayai. I will sing to God as long as I'm still alive. Azamira lelokai be'odi. As long as I'm still here, I'm going to sing to God. Which means, that's what really a person's supposed to be doing with his time. So if you have 1 minute left, I will pray to God as long as I'm still around. So you see where tefillah comes in, because tefillah always brings you closer and closer and closer. So there's nothing more you want to do during that minute. Brings you closer to Hashem. There's no bigger zechut than you have to talk to God. And we always say, know who you're praying in front of. Imagine we're standing in front of a regular king, how you would stand with fear and all. You know all those stories already. And you're just going to repeat them, after you're standing in front of a God. And really, when we stand in front of the Amidah, we shouldn't be able to open our mouths. Really. Because if you really understood what you're doing, you're standing in front of Melech Malchei HaMelachim, little us, nothing, dirt of the earth, have a chance now to stand in front of the greatest king, the wisest, the king of kings, the king of the king of kings. Melech Malchei HaMelachim. We don't even understand God on the smallest level, and pipsqueaks have a chance to talk to Him directly. Baruch atah, you. We were taught in yeshiva, whenever you talk to your rabbis, you don't talk to them straight. Does the rabbi want a glass of water? Can I help the rabbi with the package? Not can I help you with the package. It's not respectful to talk to a rabbi direct. You always talk to a rabbi third person. Because you don't feel on a level to talk as direct him. You have to talk to him on a... That's the way we were taught. All the more so a king... Even the Goyim do that. Your Highness, your Royal Highness, what does the king want? Now you're talking to God, all those formalities go out the window. Baruch atah, you are, you, what's you? Atah kadosh, atah and you. We have such a zechut that we can go in front of God and we can talk to Him like we're talking to a friend. To our father, really to our parents, we should talk like that also. Does my father want something? But why don't we talk like that? Because your father loves you. And he knows that you love him. So therefore, when you're so close to somebody, the formalities, you don't have to worry about the formalities. Your father doesn't have, you don't have to hear that always. God is like your father. God passed on the formalities. Unbelievable. God is telling me you could talk to me like one of the boys, so to speak. You? It's a big zichut to talk to God. To the extent where we can't even start out Amidah with Baruch Atah Hashem. We have to start the Amidah. Hashem Sefatai Tiftach. God, please open my mouth. If a guy's really going through the tefillah with the proper kavanah, when he gets to the Amidah, he can't even talk. So the rabbi had to put a special tefillah before the tefillah. God, please open my mouth. I'm too nervous. Help me get through this Amidah over here. Now you're standing at home plate, World Series, bottom of ninth inning, 3 and 2 count, bases loaded. Now you're up. How nervous are you? The whole country's looking at you and watching you. Now go, here's the picture. You're shaking. It's amazing how you can even stand there, right? That's it. All the malachim, all the angels in Shamayim, everything's wet. Now, guy standing up at the plate to talk to God. Shema Yisrael. And God's listening. Now, what are you going to say? It's frightening. It's frightening. Now, again, why don't you have that? Because nobody has the feeling where we come from. Everyone's praying now. They're looking at their watch and stuff. But this is the real way it's all. Just because we don't do it does not mean it's not happening. We're just kamaping. We're just going with the wrong attitude. We're like the Little League. When you take a 3-year-old and put him up the plate, at plate when there's 3 and 2 in the bottom, he don't know either. He'll go up there. He's not nervous. Is he nervous? No, because he's a baby. So no, it must not be a nervous thing. Because the baby wasn't nervous. Of course, he's a baby. He's a kid. Retarded person. You don't care either. He'll walk on the field or pitch even. You don't care. He's not nervous. Of course. So, you see a guy praying the Amidah like that, it's not showing that he's on any level. If anything, it's showing that we're on a very low level, that we're like babies. The baby doesn't understand what's an important situation, what's not an important situation. Therefore, he treats everything the same. There's a question asked, why were all the imahot akarot? So you know what the rabbi's answer? Because God loves the tefillah of the tzaddikim. So the reason why they were barren is not because they were barren. The reason they were barren and not have children is because God really wants their prayers. The prayer is the main thing. The barren is just a way to get them to make their tefillot. There's no.
They would have prayed anyway.
No. If a person has everything and things are very easy, so he'll pray. But again, how much heart can you put into a tefillah when you're just trying to, it's an insurance tefillah. But when you need something like a child, so then the tefillah is really much. And God loves thee because the tzaddikim know how to talk to him, they say the right thing, and they pray with full heart, and they pray with full kavanah. So God loves that situation. So God puts them in a situation that they need things because He wants to hear from them. So that's a very good attitude on life in general. If a guy realizes that people are sick in his family, and there's problems going on in business, things like that, that's not because God always is trying to distance Himself from that person. It's the opposite. God maybe wants to hear that person pray a little. So therefore God takes away something for a little while in order to get everybody shaken up. Hashem, do this, please, please, please. Because it gives God pleasure to hear His children. There's no pleasure more than a father has. When the son comes to his dad, I have a problem, can you help me? Hey son, you come to have a problem? Okay, my pleasure. Anything you want. Well, I need advice on this. Sure, sit down, I'll tell you the advice. Father always has time to give his son advice to help him out. That's Borei Olam. So he'll put you in a situation where you're forced to come to get advice. And the biggest curse in the world is when God distances Himself from Bnei Yisrael. God distances Himself from a person. There's a famous question. Remember the story when Adam ate from the tree? With Hava? It's the first story in Parashat Bereshit. So God cursed everybody in that story. Adam Arishon gets cursed, Hava gets cursed, the snake gets cursed. What was the curse to Hava? The curse to Hava was that she's going to have to give birth, that she's going to have labor pains. Okay. That's a very big curse. We understand that curse. To the extent that Gemara says that a lady after she gives birth, in the olden days would have to bring a korban. Why does she have to bring a korban? Because the lady, when she used to give birth, there was so much pain, she used to make a neder on the table and say, God, I'm not having any more kids. I swear to the last kid I'm going to have. So you got to bring a korban because you can't make a swear like that. You have to have one kid. That's how such a curse is. We understand. Hava got cursed, no question about it. Adam Arishon, what's Adam Arishon's curse? That's it, you have to go to work. Which means till Adam Arishon, you just sat back, you'd have to do nothing, the Parnassah would come fall in front of your door, the man, whatever it was. Everything was free, it was a great life. You could sit and learn Torah, do whatever you got for, whatever you want to do. You don't have to work. Curse came on, now you have to go to work, you don't know where the Parnassah is going to come from, you don't know where you're going to get the food for the next day, there's problems, there's things. It's a big kilalah. This you can all relate to, this kilalah. So Adam Rishon we understand. The snake, what's the snake's curse? The snake's curse is he used to walk on legs. Hashem said, Al gehoncha telech, now you're going to cut your legs off, and you're going to crawl on the ground, and you're going to eat the dust of the earth for the rest of your life. Comes the rabbis and asks, what does a snake eat? Snake eats dirt. So God's telling them, you're going to crawl on the ground, and you're going to eat dirt for the rest of your life. That's the biggest beracha. Did you hear any news reports about a dirt shortage? About a dust shortage? No, dirt wherever the snake goes. The snake has his parnassah for the rest of his life. While human beings are running around not knowing where the next ball is going to come from. And the lady's crying on the table when she's giving birth. The snake, he's crawling away, eating 3 meals a day whenever he wants. He doesn't got to look more than a foot. While the lion has to find something to kill and the bear has to find... The snake's got the best life of them all. Just crawling on the ground and eating dirt all day. Where's the curse? He's supposed to get the biggest curse. Because he's the one that set everybody up. Right? So listen to the answer the rabbi says. Mashal lema hadavar domeh. An example to what this is comparable to. Parable. To a father that has 2 sons. One son's a good boy, listens, respects his father. The father loves the son. Other one, rebellious, doesn't listen to anything. It's his son. Father loves that son also. The father's supporting both children. He gives them an allowance. To the one that he loves, he says, listen, they both lived in the city. Tells the one that he loves, listen, I'm going to give you a $500 a week allowance. One condition. You got to come every Sunday to pick it up. Okay, fine. Well, every Sunday, no. And sure enough, every Sunday the son would come. The father would have a big breakfast table. They'd sit down. They'd read the paper together. They'd talk. They'd eat breakfast. They'd go outside, play little sports. They spend Sunday together. At the end of the day, the father would give them the $500. See you next Sunday. They'd hug and kiss. And so it was for years. Every Sunday the son would come. The other son, the father calls him the rebellious kid. Listen, you're my son. I love you. And I also want to support him. I'll give you $500 a week. But he is right now, he's $25,000 for the whole year. They come back every Erev Kippur, once a year. Now what's the difference? The father's really telling that son, I don't want to know from you. I don't want to see you every week in my face. I really don't want to have a connection with you. I got to support you, okay, that's a father's job. But I really don't want to have any, here's the money, kids, get out of my face. The other son who's a good son, I want you to come every Sunday. To talk to me, to have a dealing with me. God tells Adam Arishon, I want you to work for your parnassah. I want you to not know where the next dollar's going to come from. You know why? So you'll come to me every day. Hashem, please help me. You'll come to me every day. Hashem, help me. Hashem, help me. The lady that's pregnant is giving birth. I want you to have a problem. So you'll come to me and say, Hashem, please help me. I'm having labor pains. I want it to come out good. I want it to work out good. No complications. The snake, Hashem says, here's all your food. Here's all your dirt. Don't come back forever. I don't want to hear from you. Don't pray to me for nothing. I'm giving you your carte blanche from the beginning. Kish. That's the biggest curse in the world. When God tells somebody, here's everything, get out of here, I don't want to know from you. He's saying, I don't want to have any connection with you. That is the biggest kirala in the entire world. So number 2 of this class. Number 2 is tefillah is a method to get close to God. It's a zechut to pray. If you prayed shacharit this morning and you prayed mincha and you're going to pray out in 5 minutes, understand you have a massive zechut. A zechut that you would probably have to do if you had 1 minute to the rest of your life. That's what you'd be doing, praying Arbi. And in this merit, this will get you closer to God. And there's no bigger curse than someone who does not pray.
Even if it was done without proper covenant?
We say in the Amidah, Ki ata shomeya tefilat kol peh. God listens to the prayer of every mouth. even if the mouth did not, or even if it's only your mouth without a brain.
You said in the beginning first.
I agree. God will. A weapon. I'll give you. Should I tell you what? Good question. When a guy prays with kavanah, it's like he's praying with a rifle. You shoot the rifle, you're guaranteed you kill the guy. That's a guaranteed shot. When you're just reading the words, so you have a water gun. You wet the guy, does something. You're right. You're not going to have the same effect that a guy who had kavanah with a lip. As a matter of fact, the guy who's praying with the lip might get answered in 2 shots. While the guy praying just reading, they just take it, they put it on the scale. You might need 1,000 no kavanahs to finally tip the scale to get what you want.
I heard one time it's like a sword. Even if you don't know what you're doing with the sword, it's dangerous. But if you know what you're doing with the sword, you know what you're doing.
Okay, so that's a simple thing. I'm not going to go into what I wanted to say from the Siddur. We'll leave that for another time. We're going to pass this out. And you go look at this yourself. There's a Shulchan Aruch over there that says that one who does not have kavanah in the first beracha in the Amidah is not yotzeh the Amidah, and has to repeat the Amidah. Okay, so I'm not going to get involved in that now. But if you want to know the minimum that you're supposed to have kavanah for, is the first beracha in the Amidah. It's possible, and this is frightening, and I'm talking to myself now. After 80 years of praying, we figured it out. You pray 80 years, 3 times a day, 365 days a year, you're praying over 100,000 prayers. You go to God after 100,000 prayers, He's going to tell you, why don't you ever pray Shacharit? Pray Shacharit, look at the video. I prayed Shacharit for 80 years of my life. But didn't you learn the halakha? If you don't have kavanah in the first beracha, the Amidah, so it doesn't count. Joe, you got over there the first halakha? Read it? Yeah. What is it? So, I don't want to get involved in this now, but it is an important project to put on your list. You know what the rabbis even said? And if you didn't have kavanah in your Amidah, Maran says you have to go back. Comes the later rabbis, including Chaim Ovadia Yosef, and it says, if you didn't have kavanah, leave it, don't go back. You know why? Because who says you can have kavanah the second time around also? We have a very short concentration span. So, if you really want to know what Torah has to say about tefillah, you got to understand what you're saying. Minimum, you got to know the first beracha. Okay, that's what I want to skip. I said anything. That's a trick. I just want to read you one more Gemara and we'll finish. The third thing is, okay, we talked about it has to come from the heart. We talked about that it gets you close to Hashem. The last thing I want to just tell you, when you're answered through your tefillah, it's not a miracle. Don't think, well, I prayed, wow, I was answered, this is great, this, no, it's not this. When you pray, that's nature. Just like when you take the keys and you drop them on the floor and it falls down, you say, wow, what unbelievable, it fell down, gravity. That's not Hadush. That's the laws of nature. That when some things go down, when you turn on the light goes, it's Hadush? It's a miracle? No, the electricity, praying is the same thing. Praying is a fact of life. When you pray and you're answered, that is nature. Let me read you again when I will finish. Shama Abaye, Gemara Kedushin. I have it in front of me. Abaye heard, Deka Ba'ateh. This rabbi was coming to the Bet Midrash. The rabbi was coming to the Bet Midrash to learn. Rabbi Bar Yaakov. In the Bet Midrash, there was a monster. What do you mean a monster? There was a mazik, a spirit, a demon that lived in the Bet Midrash and they couldn't get rid of him. To the extent every rabbi that would come to learn, the monster would attack him, it would harass him, they'd come out damaged. Normally demons only come out in the night, this one was coming out during the day. Usually demons are scared when there's 2 people walking, this guy would attack even when there was 1 guy. He was a very, very scary character and didn't know how to deal with him. So Abaye heard that Rabbi, it's not fairy tales, Joe. This is Gemara. Shama Abaye, he heard that Rabbi Bar Yaakov's coming to town. So what does he do? Amarlu, he tells all the students, Lo litevne inish ushpiza. Nobody invite Rabbi Bar Yaakov to sleep in his house. You have a guest coming to the city. Nobody invited him over. What's Abaye's plan? He wants Abba Yaakov to end up sleeping in the shul, and now the monster will come out and they'll have a confrontation and he'll get him. Is Efshad the Mitra'ish Nisha? Maybe a miracle will happen and we'll kill the monster. Sure enough, Abba Yaakov comes to the town. He's waiting to get invited. Waiting for the fadal. Nobody gave him the fadal. That's it. So what does he do? Ali came. Bat ba'u be'rabanan. He slept in the kini. He slept in the Beit Midrash. Idmele ketenina de shiv'ar shvate. Like a scorpion, like some type of snake, octopus with 7 heads appeared all of a sudden. So he started praying. Started praying the Amidah. Now in the Amidah we bow 7 times. The 4 berachot. And Oseh Shalom, we bow when we say Oseh Shalom, we go like this, right? You say Oseh Shalom, that's one. Oseh Shalom, Amav is the next one. Hui Oseh Shalom, we bow to each side. So that's 3 more. So he bowed 7 times in his Amidah, and every time he bowed, another one of the heads came off the monster. Okay, that was his experience that night in the Beit Midrash. Okay. Amar Lehu, the next day he sees Abaye, he sees all those rabbis that set him up and put him in the Beit Midrash. He says, if God did not perform a miracle for me, you put my life in danger. What did you do to me? If it was not for a miracle, I would have died. And the rabbis explained it, that when God does a miracle for you, it's not for free, it costs you. God takes some of your mitzvot and cashes them in for the miracle. If a guy crosses the street on a red light, right? You got to have credit. Cost you something. Right? You crossed on a red light with your eyes closed. You came out okay. Oh, God made a miracle for me. Okay, made a miracle, but now it ate up 14 zechuyot. So he's saying, what are you doing to me over here? You have a right to put me in the Beit Midrash, put me in danger. God made a miracle. Now I'm short from the zechuyot. You would have killed me. God made a miracle. And the rabbis really ask, how was he able to put him in that situation? Could I put you in a situation where miracles going to happen to you? So the rabbi said, Abaye knew that this rabbi, Rabbi Yaakov, was an expert in tefillah, like we see he was. And he knew for sure that if he prays, the monster's going to die, like it happened. And the rabbi says, when you pray, that's not a miracle. When you pray and God answers you, God doesn't take away from your credit. Otherwise, he would have no right to put him in that situation. He knew that if he prays, he'll be answered, and that's on the house. That's God's credit. That's some God's storage houses. And that's what happened. The next day he came and said, you put my life in danger, a miracle happened to me. He was being humble. He didn't want to credit himself, don't worry about it, I prayed, I handled the situation. He made it like, who am I to pray nothing? God made a miracle to me, what did you do for me? That he was saying in humility. But what really worked for this rabbi was the power of his tefillah. So you see from over here, from a simple bowing in the Amidah. We don't know what our bowing does. You know what your bowing does in the Amidah? Your bowing in the Amidah is power to kill demons. We're not even talking about Kabbalah now. You're just bowing in the Amidah. You have a power to kill the biggest mazikim and the biggest malachim that are against us, and the biggest prosecutors that are just by bowing your head in the Amidah. 7 times, 7 heads. One of the biggest demons that the rabbis were all threatened from. So again, Rabotai, tefillah is not a miracle. Tefillah is teva. Tefillah is nature. Tonight we learned 3 things about prayer. And this subject of tefillah is a subject that just as many times you could pray, that's how many times you could talk about it. It's endless. We didn't even explain one word of tefillah. This is all to get you to think about what we're saying. We didn't even discuss one word that we say. Number 1, it's supposed to come from the heart. Like the Kohen Gadol praying for those guys. No rain! Because when they pray for no rain, it's from the heart. Like the mother of the Kohen Gadol, so the murderers don't pray for their children. That's from the heart. Number 2, it has to be tefillah elevates you to get closer to Hashem. Karov Hashem nekol koreav. It gets you closer to Hashem. It's a zechut to stand in front of God. The biggest curse is the curse that the snake got. Get out of here. Here's everything. It's a zechut not to have certain things so you can turn to God to pray. And number 3, when you finally are answered, it's not a miracle. When you finally are answered, that is the normal way things are supposed to work, and you're not going to be charged for it. Got the concept? Okay, Baruch Adonai.